Hello and welcome to another episode of Get Your Head in the Game, a podcast about mental health in gaming. Today we're going to be talking about the concept of tilting in video games. And I'm joined by two of my good friends. One of them you haven't heard him before because I didn't air the last episode, but Jim Bob. And the other one you've heard of because he composed the opening tune. So Pearly and Jim Bob, do you guys want to say hi?
Yeah, hello. Welcome to the podcast here.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Do you want to say anything about yourselves or just jump straight into it?
Look, I'm fairly well experienced in the art of being tilted, but don't come with many tips and tricks, so learning on the game.
I'm Pearly. I'm a musician and composed that catchy little theme song we heard at the start of the podcast. And definitely had my fair share of tilt in and out of video games.
In and out. Every time I play that song, I'm just like bobbing my head. Like, it's such a good tune.
Yeah, I was jamming to it.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I wanted to keep playing it. But so we're talking about tilting, which is, I'm sure, something that everyone's experienced in gaming and without. Actually, it's a good point. Why are we talking about tilting?
Look, it's quite a common issue that affects a lot of people, and we play a lot of games as squads, and it can affect how we play with each other. But because it affects so many people, it's quite an interesting topic to discuss, and the diversity of how it can come to be and how it's managed. I mean, that there's plenty of suggestions to go around, I'm sure.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good point about playing games in squads, because obviously you can tilt solo and you can certainly tilt in a team as well, and the impact that has on your team when you're tilting in a team, as opposed to just impacting yourself when you're solo tilting.
Yeah, I mean, also, it's probably going to be like such a clickbait topic. So that's why I was like, yeah, let's do a topic on tilting because, second episode of the podcast. Like, I don't know if any podcast has been done about tilting itself. Probably have, but yeah. I was telling
Rule one of clickbaiting: you don't acknowledge the clickbait.
No, that shows transparency.
That's the new meta of clickbaiting.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you build trust with the audience. It's like, guys, I just clickbaited you. So welcome to the stream.
I've reeled you in.
Click like and subscribe for more clickbaits in the future. But I was telling Jim Bob yesterday that I was really keen on doing this episode yesterday because, like, man, I played a couple of games of Dota and I was so tilted. I was just like, I don't really normally tilt, especially in Dota anymore, because like I only play Turbo, which is just like quick, super quick games. But the two games that I played in the morning, it was like 5 a.m, and I played a pretty strong support hero, Dazzle, to any Dota players. And I played out of my mind. Like, that's not an ego thing. Like, I objectively played really well. And we shouldn't have lost either of those games. But we did. We lost so hard. And I was like, man, I'm so tilted right now. Like, I don't even know. Like, I just felt so pissed off. And normally, especially, like, I don't know, a few years ago, once I get tilted, like, my day's ruined. That's it. Like, it's like, I'm just so pissy and I'm playing shit and everything. Like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to chill, sort of thing. So I don't know if that's the same with you guys, like when you get tilted.
I mean, that's an interesting point to think about, tilting even when you're playing well, because it's certainly easy to tilt when you're playing badly, and you can really get in your own head by like, oh, I'm terrible at this. Why am I playing this? This is shit. But it can be even more tilting when you've played, as you said, like played out of your mind, and you're still losing. That can get even more inside your own head.
Yeah. One of the things that I was like thinking about when I was approached about it the other day, I was like, 3 rounds I'd played with Rainbow Six, and I was like, just in the casual, I'd been doing really well, getting quite a good KD, definitely hitting the shots that I needed to. So I thought I'd jump in ranked. I'm like 3 or 4 MMR off going up a rank, and I lost 150 in the first 2 games, and I was just absolutely mad. And it was like a snowball effect from the first shots I was hitting, as I was just like getting more and more stuck in my own head. And then in the final game I played, the squad started with 5 members, but one bloke was bringing in his shopping. That was his excuse as to why he'd been AFK for 2 rounds. He thought he'd swivel his mouse around so he didn't get booted. But yeah, sitting in ranked and a bloke's bringing in his shopping, and
I mean, real life is important, man.
yeah, it's not helping my resilience though.
Got to get those frozen peas in the freezer pronto.
Yeah, that's true. Can't leave frozen meat out for too long.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
You don't want this man to get sick.
I did have a lot of questions about who was shopping at 11:30 at night, but it's not me to ask. Not my position.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like a few years ago, if I get tilted, like everything's just ruined, sort of thing. And the thing is that I don't like giving up, and so like I don't even recognize that I'm tilting, but I'm actually tilted, and then I just keep playing because I gotta get that win, and I'm not gonna stop until I win. But
yeah, like you can't end on a loss, right?
Yeah, and the tilt just like snowballs and gets bigger and bigger. Now I like to think that I deal better with tilting, and at the end of the podcast, we will share some personal tips and tricks on what to do when you're tilted. But yeah, you mentioned before being tilted in and out of the game. Do you wanna like sort of elaborate on that, the out of the game aspect?
Yeah, well, I mean, the concept of tilting, I guess, it's pretty much just when things aren't going your way. Um, it gets into your head, and then it affects your whole sort of mood and your whole outlook on what's going on. And that's, I think, certainly not a foreign concept to have in your real life. It's for me, I know, and I'm sure a lot of other people. That sort of thing can happen pretty easily. A couple bad things happen in your day, and it can certainly ruin your whole mood for that day. And it can be hard to sort of separate those little bad things that might have gone wrong from the day as a whole. And yeah, I think that tilting in real life is a pretty real thing, and certainly important to acknowledge in terms of mental health, because I think that that's pretty relevant in terms of depression and anxiety. Those things can really be aggravated by that little thing that goes wrong in your everyday life. Can seem 1,000 times worse than it might be when you're struggling with mental health otherwise. And so that concept of tilting, it really applies, I think, to real life and gaming life pretty easily.
Yeah, one of the things that I think about, particularly in the gaming sense, is when I'm getting tilted in games, like the 2 games that I primarily play are Rocket League and Rainbow Six. I'm a very, very big fan of just trying one more game, and then if it's not working out, switching over to whichever game I'm not playing. So if I'm in Rocket League, might play one more game and then head over to Rainbow Six, which is an avoidance strategy, which alluding to what Pearlie's just said about the mental health, it's not a great life skill to have, is that avoidance strategy. But because that tilting is such a prevalent part of gaming, particularly in competitive games, it's very common for me to find those avoidance strategies much easier than just hopping off my computer or playing a different game.
But personally, I feel like the tilt carries over. It doesn't matter what game you're playing, unless it's like something completely chill. Like for example, if I go from Dota to like I don't know, like GTA, just driving around, just relaxing sort of thing. If I go from like one competitive game to another, if I'm tilted in one game, I play tilted as well on the other games.
Yeah, I
And,
mean, I'm not saying that it was an effective strategy to switch games. I'm just saying the strategy I picked.
I'm saying it's good.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about the type of game that you're choosing to play, and certainly I think tilt is more prevalent when you're in a competitive scene, competitive Rainbow Six, competitive Rocket League, whatever it happens to be. So even just switching out to some casual modes, just trying to get back to the initial reason you start playing a game is for fun, right?
Yeah.
So trying to get back to that fun element, and find that fun in the game that you, I think, definitely miss when you're on a tilt.
Yeah, those little factors that you completely overlook are those fun, and the reason I know for me is the friends as well. Just seem to be lost completely when you're tilted.
Yeah, yeah, because your mood and your interactions with the people that you're playing with just go straight downhill.
Yeah. I tried to like quickly Google before this episode where the term came from, and Urban Dictionary said it's called tilting because you get so mad you tilt over your keyboard, which obviously is not true. Wikipedia though, which is the more reliable source,
As we all know,
is describes it that it came from poker. So tilting, I don't like. They didn't really tell me the origin of the term still, but like apparently tilting is like like a poker thing where you know if you do a bad play or if you get like super unlucky, it affects you in a lot more ways than you would realize, especially if you're not a professional tilter, I guess.
Yeah.
And then because of that, you start playing where it's like you make bad decisions. You're much more reckless because you're trying harder for that win, and because of that, you make more mistakes.
you take bigger risks, and
yeah, that you
Second
would probably
guess
take if you were like a bit more rational and composed. But then it also mentioned that there's also a positive tilt where if you're winning a lot, which I would call it like overconfidence really, or like overextension. When you win a lot or unexpectedly win something that you should have lost, you get tilted and start making more mistakes because like really the term describes when you're not playing like you normally would, when something's sort of affecting your I guess reasoning and way of thinking about strategy and stuff. And
yeah, and you can even take it literally, like at its physical, at its literal meaning of tilt. Like it's like it's a slope, and so once you start on a slope, it's easy to continue on that slope.
Kind of like the picture I get in my mind right at the moment. Those of you who've played Wii Sports, no, not Wii Sport, the Wii Fit on the little
Wii Sports too.
Little penguin on the iceberg in Wii Fit, where you're trying to throw it up and catch the little fish. But if you let it go too close to the edge, you just fall right off the iceberg.
Yeah, you slip off.
Yeah, that's a serious tip.
If it was so fun.
Yeah, look, that's a nice casual game to get you off your Rainbow Six woes.
Imagine getting tilted in Wii Fit though. I'm sure like someone in the world has gotten tilted from like those freaking
trying to get your 150 ski jump.
I certainly got tilted playing Wii Sports.
Plenty of opportunity.
You're playing like I don't know Wii tennis or something, and you're hitting it one way, but like the game doesn't register properly. That's frustrating. I remember.
Yeah.
And
or the golf tilted me beyond belief.
I was really good at golf.
I was really good at bowling.
I hated bowling.
I definitely got the shiny metallic ball for being a pro in nothing else.
But I need to look for my Wii. I'll write that on my notes for Wii.
Let's do a Wii stream.
Yeah.
Well, have to buy capture card. That's right.
Yeah,
Why
true.
does like sound of people streaming with Wii?
They would on the Wii U. Wii U. They do it on Switch, so
Yeah.
surely they do it on Wii. Yeah, just get a capture card.
Speaking of being tilted in Wii Sports, though, I'd like to go back to that point previously about mental health and maybe underlying mental health issues and tilting. Yeah, I feel like that's like a really rich sort of subject to discuss in terms of tilting, because like,
Well, I mean, yeah, you could talk about that for hours with a mental health undertone, I guess, because like in a way, suffering from depression or anxiety could be described as tilting, because realistically, the effect of depression is that for often no logical reason, your mood is really adversely affected. And at the end of the day, losing in a game, not really a logical reason for your mood to be getting affected. Obviously you can be invested in games, but at the end of the day, it's a game. But you still, you hang so much on it, and we do allow ourselves to be affected by it. And that's less in our control if it's a matter of depression, for example. Those little things that bring it out in you, you can't help it, and often you can look at it logically and acknowledge that there's no actual reason why I'm feeling unhappy right now, but it doesn't stop you from feeling unhappy. And I think that same sort of thing could happen when you're tilting in gaming, is that you can try and look at what's happening logically, but it doesn't actually stop you from feeling those things that you're feeling. At the end of the day, we're humans, and we're going to have involuntary responses to the stimulus that's happening in the world. And so it's a matter of what you do in reaction to those responses, and how you handle it, and what choices you make and actions that you take from there, rather than trying to stop your brain from working the way that your brain works. Instead, train your brain to make decisions, to act on what's happening.
I guess you pretty much nailed it on the head there. But like the tilting is really the reaction and the dwelling on the reaction that defines its term almost. And within a game, especially those competitive ones that we've mentioned, it is fast paced, and we don't really have that time to slow down and actually logically evaluate, or whatever the strategy that the individual needs are. That time is not really available when you're actually playing those higher speed games. And because they're that fast, it's really easy to snowball. Is what I'm kind of thinking is the primary issue. But
but it's not even like a conscious thing, like, as I said, sometimes you feel it and you don't even realize it. It's just like this little thing at the back of your head that's just like itching at you. It's like, oh man. And sometimes you don't even realize that you're not playing as well as you would. And I think one pretty major thing with tilting is, like, when you're tilted, suddenly everyone, I guess, you have less patience for everyone, and then so you notice everyone's mistake a lot more.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, you start looking for the mistakes that other people are making, rather than thinking, hang on, maybe
I would think it's like, oh man, this guy's talking some shit, and then you start raging at your teammates and stuff like that. And it's not your own fault. Like, it's not like your own issue, which I'm sure there's like you don't have to think too hard about it to figure out what kind and clear my head and chill and maybe do something that I'm normally good at. And then so when you're tilted in games, and suddenly your escape mechanism from the stresses of real world isn't such a good escape mechanism anymore, because you're stressed in real life and you're stressed in the game. Then
Yeah.
it's like, now what? Like, what do I do? Then you just get like super mad about the world and everything.
And I guess that's where you were saying about before that it can day is literally in that statement there, is because you don't know where to turn to anymore.
Like, yeah. So when your coping mechanism isn't reliable, then it's like, you know what?
When your coping mechanism's causing the stress.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting, isn't it? How that can happen. I know that, especially when I do something like uni work, it's very easy to go from uni work to a game, and then not be able to come back from a break, because not because I don't want to do the uni work, but because my head's so far gone with the tilt of the game that's just absolute write off of my time.
And like, just going off about that point about how you start noticing other people's mistakes a lot more, and you get out of the game thinking that everyone else played badly, and maybe you start blaming the game, like, oh, lazy devs, the game's not optimized, and oh, I lag, and because I
Yep.
die, sort of thing. That also sorts of separates yourself from responsibility, and which is, it's really bad in itself, because like, you need to take ownership of your own actions, not just in games, but in real life. If you do something, you need to learn to deal with it, as opposed to looking for reasons or other people to blame why that is. But secondly, on the flip side of that, um, you start thinking that it doesn't matter what you do in life. Some things are just way out of your control, and then it adds like a sense of nihilism to yourself. Like, man, nothing in this world is in my control, and because of that, like, why should I even bother? Like, things are gonna go to shit anyway. It doesn't matter how hard I play or how well I play. Um, Other people are just gonna mess it up. So why bother? And I think that, like, sort of adds to that really crappy feeling in real life. Feeling like everything's crap.
Well, you can look at that two ways though, because you can look at that as, I can't control these things, so it's going to be terrible no matter what. Or you can look at it as, these things are out of my control, so I don't have to worry about these things. It's going to happen like this no matter what. I can't control my teammate if they're making mistakes. I don't have. That's not my fault. That's not my problem. Um, but that, of course, is thinking with a logical brain, which is not a tilted brain.
Yeah.
Well said.
um, just a quick example about tilting, because this thing you guys can understand and will know about, and without fail, it always tilts me, is Rocket League Rumble. That game mode. That game mode, it doesn't matter what my mood is, or how well I'm playing, or how bad I'm playing, if I'm already tilted or whatever. Doesn't matter what my lag is. Every time we play Rumble, I just go like, yeah, no, like, this is it.
Yeah, I am fully on board with that tilt.
Yeah, because it's like,
yeah,
there's the normal Rocket League game mode, which is, just like cars soccer, which is fine, it's good as. And then they added like sort of a Mario Kart element to it, and you might be playing with the world, doing air dribbling and stuff, outscaling everybody, and then some douche just like has a boot out of nowhere and boots you away from the ball, and it's like, the hell.
yeah.
And then,
The RNG element of it is what tilts me.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the mental state of it as well. Like, when you're tilted, it's like, oh, my opponents are getting so lucky with their power ups.
Yeah.
But, like, it could so easily be me being lucky with my power ups as well.
Yeah.
But when you're in that tilt zone, everything's against you, and so if the opponent's being lucky with their power ups, or I hit my power up but it didn't work, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna be like, man, they keep getting spikes and gloves and all. I keep getting these tornadoes, and I can't even control the tornado, and everyone's
Yeah.
going up in the air around me. And it's like, what the hell? And sometimes you're about to kick like an open goal, and then suddenly you activate like, I don't know, a tornado or something, and the ball just goes up. It's like, what the hell is this? That definitely tilts me. And yeah,
Well,
I don't know what to say about that.
the best one is the all-time doing an absolute handle of got the ball right where you want it. You're about to jump off the wall, and someone freezes it, and halfway through the air, just waiting to fall down, or that douche that backflips off the wall when he teleport switches with you, and he's in a perfect position to kick the ball through goal.
This is my favorite power up, to be honest. Cause, like you can fuck up with against your enemies, and you can fuck up against your
You can
teammates.
tilt
I
them.
mean, it's scientifically proven that nobody can aerial hit a frozen ball.
Yeah,
It's
there
not
we go.
possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about just like that Rocket League tangent. What causes tilt? Like, what do you guys think causes tilt? Aside from we've covered things, not going your way, the RNG sort of thing. What other common factors, like for you personally, causes you to tilt?
I mean, for me, it's usually me playing like shit,
Yeah.
and I can usually acknowledge that, but it doesn't make it any easier. If anything, it makes it more tilting, because I know that I'm the problem.
Yeah.
And I typically play twos Rocket League with a mate, and we make a pretty good team, but I'm the weak link in the team, and if I'm starting to play terribly, then it just really gets in my head, and you know, and my twos partner can tell when I'm getting tilted. At which point we'll like switch to a like one of the extra game modes like Rumble or Hoops or Drop Shot or something, just to take it a little less seriously, because who cares about ranks in those game modes? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely my own skill or lack thereof that gets me on the tilt fest.
Do you think it's because you know that you can play better than that, or because
Yeah, I mean, the massive thing for me with Rocket League is consistency.
Yeah.
So sometimes I can play really, really well, and then a lot of the time I can play like shit. And I think it's that that knowledge that I can and should be playing better. I should, I can play at a higher level, but I'm not, and that really gets into my head. And then you end up on a 12 game loss streak and end up back in gold with Jim Bob.
Who is definitely the weak link of Tricky. I think for me, it's very similar, but the word I'm going to use to describe it is proximity. So in a game like Rocket League, and I guess it applies to Rainbow Six as well, where everything happens very fast, it's the tiniest little movements that make the difference. And so I know that I can play better, and when I miss a shot by centimeters, and it bangs off the wall, or I'm about to save a goal and I just flip that's half a second too early, it's that little tiny difference that annoys me the most, because I know that I can play better, and I have proven it countless times before, but it's when it needs to count that I miss the shot, or it's when I'm about to save that goal that would have prevented overtime that I flip too early and the ball just rolls in embarrassingly behind me. And then we get the very classic Rocket League, what a save comes out from the opposition, and just
that's a good
adds
point as
fuel to
well,
the fire.
acknowledging the quick chats of opponents.
Yeah, so
They can
toxicity.
certainly help with the tilt.
Yeah, that's a topic in itself. Toxicity in
Yeah,
games. It's something
toxicity.
I've
That's
always
another
wanted to
Tune in
cover.
next week.
Because like if you're someone dealing with like mental health issues and you're having troubles in real life already, and then someone just like rubs in the fact that you're you're playing bad, it doesn't feel good. But yeah, personally, just to say a different cause, like external causes, like lag and stuff, and in my screen, for example, I definitely landed that shot. I definitely headshotted that guy, but then the game doesn't register it because I'm lagging. That tilts me as well. And I think what I can surmise from those three reasons is that, in all three reasons, is because that you're underperforming. You know that you're worth at least this much in terms of skill or at least knowledge, and you're underperforming, and that's what's causing the tilt. You're not being the best that you normally could be, and none of those reasons are really that external, save maybe for the lag and stuff. Like it's not because we mentioned how when you're tilted you notice other people's mistakes more, but in those reasons, none of those were because my teammate's playing bad and because of that I'm tilted. I'm not saying it never happens, because that was the example I said. My teammates played badly and I feel bad blaming them, but yeah, like the tilt is like I guess I'm saying it's like a personal experience. It's a personal it's a very individual thing.
I mean, in talking about that, like I think it's important to try and acknowledge the cause of it when it happens, and maybe we can get into talking about some methods and ways to try and reduce tilt. I think that trying to, I mean, as I've said before, like it's tough to think logically and critically about the situation when you are tilting. But if you just like take a breath and try to remove yourself a little bit from the situation and think, so hang on, why is this happening? What started this? And it might have been that close save that you backflipped on, or it might have been the headshot that you swear you hit, but it went straight through him and lagged around him or whatever. Trying to acknowledge exactly what caused it, and that's, I think, the best way to then move past it. Because then you can say, well, okay, I fucked up, I backflipped, I'll practice double jumping quickly without backflipping. And I think that finding a solution to what's causing the tilt can be really helpful. Obviously, not always possible. If it's genuine lag, then get some better internet, Australia.
Get better internet.
Get some NBN. If it's actually teammates playing poorly, then get some better teammates.
Get better teammates, lol.
And if it's you playing poorly, then practice, train, get better, get some better skills. I think acknowledging what's causing it and thinking about how you can help improve that can really help sort of take the mental side of it, like the negative mental side of it, away, and instead apply this critical side to it, and more of a problem-solving approach rather than, I guess, a problem-causing approach.
Yeah, but I just add that step one of that would be learning to recognize when you're tilted.
Oh yeah, great call.
Or when you just think other people are playing bad, or you're just lagging and shit.
Yeah.
Was that your? Sorry.
That's where if you're playing with teams, that's where your teammates can come in handy. If they're people that you play with all the time, then they get to know you. They get to know your sort of the signs that you're tilting, and it can help if you trust those mates that you're playing with, that they'll actually say, "Hey, Trez, I think you're a bit tilted, man. Let's take a break."
Or they just troll you and be like,
"One more drink." First-hand experience that I've said that to you before, and you're like, "Nah, we're fine. Cue us up again."
Yeah.
lose some more MMR.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Why stop the bleeding? Keep it going. Was that your tip and trick for tilting, like from personal experience,
Yeah, I
or
mean,
do you have more?
I think well that sort of try and apply that problem solving approach, but I think just taking a step back is the biggest thing. Which like it all comes down to acknowledging the problem,
Yeah.
as so many things in life do. Um, but yeah, I think that um, once you figure out what's tilting you or that you're tilted, I think you just need to stop doing what's causing the tilt. Like
Mm.
I am certainly guilty of the we can't end on a loss. We'll queue up once more. We'll queue
Yeah.
up once more. We'll queue up
Yeah.
once more. Like, you get caught into that because you want to end on a win, but you might end on a win one full division lower than you started. Um,
Too true.
and so I think that if you can recognize that tilt in yourself, then I think the healthiest thing is to just stop doing whatever is causing the tilt.
Mm.
Um, and just switch to something else. Read a book, go for a walk, you know,
Have a nap.
have a
Yeah.
you know, chat to a friend, like whatever.
Yeah.
Get your mind off of what's making you tilt. And I mean I would use that same advice in terms of mental health in general.
Mm.
I know that in the past when I've suffered from depression, the way that I handled it was to go for a long walk and listen to some Jack Johnson. um, that always just sort of took my mind off it. I knew the Jack Johnson songs like the back of my hand and could just sing along with every word, and that just brought me some peace and some calm. And finding those things that can sort of just take your mind off of whatever is not going your way is just really really helpful.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's about remembering that you are escaping the real world in those games. And although mini movies been and portray the fact that it's bad, like that there can be negative side effects of being out of the real world, being able to say, like being able to recognize it, as Pearly said, and then actually step back, um, is going to be a huge step, and it's going to be a very important step. But it will be a very satisfying and a very fulfilling step to actually making sure that you can enjoy what you're playing more the next time you get back on it.
Yeah.
Hmm. Do you have any other tips and tricks, Jim Bob?
Um, Not major ones. I do
What
think
do you
that
do
there's
normally when you're tilted?
um look, I can serve
Cry.
as a bad example, um, if nothing else. But curling up in a ball and crying is not off the list. I don't cry myself to sleep anymore, so that's a positive change.
Step in the right direction, man.
The best thing I guess I could probably do is, if I use Rainbow as an example, I'm a very big fan of going back into a tea hunt and practicing just lining up my headshots. Um, or if I'm in Rocket League, just hitting up the sandbox and just having music or a video up on the other screen so that I'm not actually concentrating so much on the game, but I'm actually just letting my muscle memory get back into the field, build my confidence back up when it doesn't matter what happens. And then I just have that lighthearted action happening next to me, such that I can distract that little bit of my brain that may have been tilted. Um, One of the things that I talk about a lot is people ask, how can I possibly watch the Avengers or Transformers? It's just so much action and there's no storyline. And for me, sometimes it's as simple as saying, well, there's enough action to actually take my mind off what was happening. Um, and so if I play Rocket League with a movie on, it means that my fingers can use the controller and just get back into the flow of the game without having to lose the fun of the game, but I can distract a bit of my head that was dwelling on the negativity before.
Yeah, that little distraction can stop you from overthinking things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, yeah, removing yourself from the game, that's a big one. And yeah, like distracting yourself with something else. You know, you said just hopping onto T Hunt and hopefully destroying some bots when you can't destroy other players. You know, hopping onto GTA, killing a bunch of civilians, classic. Personally, this is something that really took me many years of tilting to develop, is just being able to change my perspective. So, you know, I've experienced, you know, being upset with myself. Oh, why am I not playing it as well as I normally would? I've experienced being upset at other players, like, oh, why are they playing like crap? Like, why am I in this tier? And I've experienced like being mad at the game as well, like, oh, why is this game so bad and stuff. But at the end of the day, I think the best thing and like the most powerful thing you can do is being able to change your own perspective in things, you know. As you guys said, it's being able to acknowledge that, yeah, you know, I'm not playing as well as I normally would. You know, sometimes this is just way out of my control. There's nothing I can do about it. And just reminding yourself that you're playing the game to have a good time, you know, have some fun with yourself or with your friends. That's what the point is. And I guess tilting is very prevalent in competitive games because it is competitive. You know, you want to rank up, you want to prove that you're not crap. And I guess an easy way of changing perspective is just accepting the fact that you are crap. Just, you know, just accept the fact that you're not gonna be like a pro player. You're not gonna be a top tier player, and maybe you are.
What are you saying, man? You think I'm not going to make it into RLCS next season?
Yeah, exactly. And and there's
Wow.
nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with the with acknowledging the fact that you're not good. You might be good, and I'm not saying being negative. Just to repetition is important. If it's a really good point, you gotta repeat it. But yeah, I'm not saying being negative and thinking that you're the worst player, but just being able to accept that, and being able to accept that sometimes you're gonna have bad games. And honestly, just acknowledging that makes you feel good already, and then you can go on and move on with your day. And you know, yesterday I was playing, as I said, I was playing Dota at 5 a.m, and I got tilted. And normally the rest of my day would be ruined, but I was able to sit down, literally just took a few deep breaths, quit the game, and went on with the rest of the day, and I was fine. So that was really good. That's my tip and trick for tilting, just being able to change your perspective, which takes a lot of practice. Yeah. So I think we'll close it there. Thank you guys for joining me today. Do you guys want to quickly promote yourself in case someone's watching and someone's interested in watching you guys?
Well,
Jimbo?
yeah, I have a little bit of a YouTube channel happening. I don't have a custom link, very many viewers, so if you help out over there, I post Rainbow Six videos reasonably frequently. I'm always looking for support or recommendations on how to make my videos better. Don't do much on Twitch at the moment, but you know, watch this space.
Yeah, Pearly?
Yeah, I've very recently started streaming on Twitch. You can see my Twitch account on the screen there. I'm also a musician. I've got SoundCloud and Facebook page and YouTube. All Pearl Lee Music, PEARLLEE. So yeah, if you want to hear some tunes, check those out.
All right, awesome. Yeah, thanks guys.
Thanks for
And
having us.
obviously I'm Darth Quietus and you're watching my channel. I will post a link to their profiles on the description below. Let me know about your experience with tilting. What's your experience, and do you have any tips and tricks, or is there something that you feel like we haven't covered, or something that you want to know? Yeah, let me know, because you know, I would like some feedback. I also, just as a quick side note, I also decided to do an extended episode. So since these podcasts are really short, I decided that I'm gonna do a viewing of this podcast and every episode, I will review them on stream, live on stream, and talk about it further, maybe, and see, if it's a topic that you're really interested in, you can hop on chat and talk with me there. But yeah, for now, that's it from us. That's the second episode of Get Your Head in the Game, and I hope you guys had a good time, and I'll see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Get Your Head in the Game. Just a reminder that this podcast is not a source of information, but rather a discussion of opinions about mental health, especially in the realm of gaming. If you need professional support or just want more information, I recommend checking out the World Health Organization's mental health